The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everybody, happy Monday to you guys that are here. If you want to go ahead and just raise your hand if you can see my screen. Great, excellent. I'm glad you guys are all here today. Seems like a pretty small crowd right now, so hopefully a few people will be arriving soon. And while we wait, I just want to share some news with you guys. Minecraft, the Pi edition came out today, which is really exciting. A lot of people have been waiting for this for a while. And if you've never seen Minecraft before, you can build structures and environments in Minecraft using pixels. So this is the Minecraft for Pi that just came out. This is the environments that you can build. And what's cool about the Pi is that actually we can program using it as well. You can, once you've mastered kind of the in-game elements, you can actually use Python to do some pretty cool stuff too. So hopefully we'll be getting into that. And we can talk more about, if you don't have an internet connection, how to get this for your Pi. We'll be talking about that a little later. It's just something to keep in mind, something to look forward to. Minecraft is really fun, and if you've never tried it, it can get kind of addicting. You can build some cool stuff in there. Alright, so we see we have a question. Oh, cool. Andrew, thanks for putting a tutorial on Edmodo. That's really helpful. So apparently, guys, if you go to Edmodo, there'll be a little tutorial for you there. Alright, so what are we going to do today? We're going to start off just going over some of the stuff we talked about on Wednesday, including the Fly to Learn challenge. Just a reminder, if you have the software, or if you're already planning on getting the software before hearing about the challenge, to try the aviation challenge. It's free, it's fun, and you could end up winning your coach an iPad, which would be very cool. And plus, you just get all the bragging rights. And so, yeah, just check it out. It's good practice. And let's talk a little bit about the breadboards we learned about last week. So we know that these vertical little holes are all connected. Underneath them there is a long metal strip. So if you plug in like a wire with a metal tip, or an LED light into one of these holes, it's the metal touches the metal in there, and then the energy can kind of flow between them. And that's how we create. Oh, and then the groups under the letters up here, these are connected horizontally. So these are vertically, and these are horizontally. So the positive and the negative are not connected. That wouldn't make sense, because you'd have the positive, you'd have everything going straight from the positive into the negative, and it wouldn't be going into the body of the board. Let's take a look at a set it up system. Here we have the Arduino acting like a battery, and it goes from this, the red wire is carrying energy into the system, and it travels up this line here to the resistor, travels across to here, and this group is all connected by a metal bar, if you remember. So it travels from the resistor up the leg of the LED and over into the ground. And there we go, the system is complete. And that's how it travels there. Alright, and that was just a quick review, because we did that last week, but I wanted to make sure you guys saw that again. And yeah, so let's take a look at what we're going to be doing for most of today. A shout out before we get started on this code to Al Swigart for his free book, Invent Your Own Computer Games with Python. Just a thank you for him letting us use that. So let's go ahead and check out if everyone could open Python and open their hangman code and go ahead and just put your hand up when you're ready to continue. So if you have your code up, or if you're just ready to continue, you don't have your code today, just raise your hand. Great, I already see some hands popping up. Okay, great. So if you're still pulling up Python, that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and keep going. Most of the class is ready to go. Sorry, most of the class is ready to go, so I'm going to continue on. So on Wednesday, we went through some of the code, and we got to this line here, where we looked at creating this variable blanks to just be a string of underscores. One underscore for every letter in the secret word. And this word was chosen randomly from this list of words. And so each underscore is going to represent a letter that we're going to be able to fill in once the user guesses that letter. So let's take a look at what this for loop does, because this is going to replace the blanks with correctly guessed letters. So it starts with a for loop, for I in, and then we have this range, length, secret word, right? So let's take a look at that. I'm going to open my shell, and for us, I want our secret word to be otter. Alright, and if we remember, we can use the list function to look at what the range function creates. So there we go. So I took this from the code, but this is the range based off of the length of the secret word. And so what it's doing there is it's basically creating a list. It's creating a list of the indices of the different letters in the string. So the 0th index corresponds to the O, the 1st to the T, etc., until the 4th corresponds with the R. Okay, we have one question, hold on. Hudson, I see what you sent. I wouldn't worry about copying the whole code right now. You can do that after class. If you have connection to the internet, you can just copy and paste it in, since I know that you've already typed it up one time, but I wouldn't try to type it during class because that might be a challenge to do and keep up. Sorry about that though, that you forgot to save it. Alright. So, let's get a reminder of what the for loop does. So let's say for I in the list, oh, I don't have to use list here, I'm just using the range. For I in range, length, secret word, and remember here our secret word is otter. Ooh. Accidentally pressed enter before having my colon there. I'm going to ask Python to print, and I don't want to print I, because if I just print I, what's going to happen is it will print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to print the word otter. So I'm going to have it print secret word and then have I as the index. So it will print the 0th letter, O, and then it will print the first letter, T. And instead of having a new line, I'm going to tell the print function to have a space between the letters. Let's see what happens. Alright, it spells otter. Because if we remember, this is how you call on an item in a list or a specific letter in a string. All right. So let's continue looking at this code. This code is asking us to go through the letters of the secret word, and if the letter corresponding to whatever iteration we're on in is if that letter is in the string that contains all of the letters that the user has correctly guessed, then what's going to happen is we're going to use splicing to add that letter, to substitute that letter in for a blank, to replace one of the underscores with that letter. To do that, we're going to be using splicing here and connecting strings. And this can get a little bit tricky, so we're going to practice splicing first. If we remember, let's take a string. I'm going to save it as dog type, or I'm going to save it as random string, and in it I'm going to type hot dog. Let's say if I wanted to make a new string called new string, but I want to use letters from random string, not from the actual words random string, but from the string attached hot dog, I can splice from random string using the square brackets and that colon. And the first index I put in, I'm telling Python where I want to start. And I want to make the word hot. So I'm going to start with the 0th. But actually, Python's pretty smart. So if you don't give them a first index, Python assumes that you want to start at 0. So if you are going to start with that first letter, you don't have to put anything in for the first index. And then I want Python to not include the D. And the D's index is 3, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. So I tell Python, go up to, but do not include 3. Start at the beginning and go up to, but do not include 3. Let's take a look at what the new string is. It's hot, like we expected. All right, what we can do, let's say I wanted to create the word hog. H-O-G, hog. What I could do there is say that new string is going to be first random string, right, this variable here, from the beginning up to but not include that O, because we just want the H. Let's see what that gives. The H. And then add to it the O and the G. So we're going to start with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to start with the 4th index and go all the way into the end. Take all of the rest of the letters in the string. And to do that, we can just not give Python a second index. And Python will go to start wherever you tell it and go to the end of the string. So now new string reads hog, right? The H from the beginning and the OG from the end. So you can use splicing to use parts of strings and to add them together. You can also do this with lists. I'm going to create a list here called random list. And in it, I'm going to have bananas, oranges, oops, need my single quotation marks. Pairs. And you guys can be typing along here. Cats, dogs, apples, mice, coconut. I was trying to think of another fruit. I don't know if that counts as a fruit, but we're going to keep it in there. And zebras. And before zebras, I'm going to add fish. I'm going to let everyone catch up in terms of typing. But I have my list. And so just how you can use just parts of a string by using splicing, calling parts of a string, you can call parts of a list. For example, new list could equal, from the random list, I want to use the items 1, 2, but not including 4. And so that will start with oranges and go up to, but not including dogs. So it'll be oranges, pears, and cats. Let's see how that works. Oranges, pears, cats. All right. And so I have a challenge for you guys. I want you guys to create 2 lists on your own. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to do this. And I want one of them, I want you to use splicing to create a list of just the fruit. So to do that, we're going to have this list named fruit, and we're going to take from the random list using splicing, using these square brackets and indices. I'm adding them together, right? Because we have fruit, and then we have animals. So we'll have our partial splice that we're going to add to another splice that we're going to add to the last splice. So they're going to be 3. So I'll give you guys that hint. What I want you guys to do is think of what these indices have to be. And I want you to do it for animals as well. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to do that. All right, and if you're confused at all at what you're supposed to be doing right now, you are typing this out, right? We have our random list. And I want you to create the list, the new list, fruit and animals. You're going to have to do it one at a time. Here I just left these open for you so you knew how to format it. You're going to create your new list of just the fruit by taking splices from the original random list. First of just bananas, oranges, and pears, and then adding it to apples, and adding it to coconut. You're going to do that by adding indices before and after these colons, where appropriate. And then you're going to do it for the animals: cats and dogs, mice, fish and zebras. And go ahead and raise your hand when you are ready to see my answer, to see how I did it. And if you have an answer, that's awesome, and you can copy and paste it into questions. And in just a minute, I'm going to show you guys how to do fruit. So even if you're not ready, I'll give you guys another minute to try animals in case you got it wrong or you want to try again. Okay, great. So I am going to put your guys' hands down and show you how I did fruit. Okay. That's going to get mad at me, but so for fruit, from random list, I'm taking indices from the beginning, starting at the beginning, so I'm not going to give a first index, and I'm going to 0, 1, 2. I'm going to up to 3 and not including 3 because I want 2, right? So I'm going to put 3 in there, and that's kind of tricky because you're telling it go all the way up until 3, but don't include 3. Then 3, 4, and then I want the 5th one, but I only want the 5th one. So from the 5th up until, but not including the 6th, which is mice. And then again with the 7th one. 7th up until and not including 8th. And if we look at fruit, there we go. Bananas, oranges, pears, apples, coconut. All right, so I'm going to give you guys another minute to try animals. If you didn't get fruit, well, before you try that, why don't you guys raise your hand if you got fruit correct? Great. Seeing a lot of hands. That's awesome. That's great. All right. Awesome. Excellent. So I'm going to give a minute just to try animals again in case you didn't get fruit correct. All right, and let's take a look at animals. So I want cats and dogs, and that's 3 and 4. So from 3, starting at 3 up until and not including 5, because I just want 3 and 4. I'm going to add to that the splice of just, so this is 5, this is 6, just 6, so 6 up until, but not including 7. And then add to that the splice of 8 to the end. 8 all the way to the ends there. And for animals, there we go. All right. Great, everybody. All right. Hey, Elias, do you have a question? Or do you just have your hand up? Ooh, I cannot hear you. Let me see if it's my audio. No. All right, I'm going to put everyone's hands down. If you have a question, go ahead and put your hand back up. I just Don't know if that was saying you were ready or if you have a question. All right, let's move on with the code. Now that we have an idea of what this connecting can do, what this splicing does. So what's happening here is you're taking a splice from this variable blanks of just the underscores, and then you're adding a letter from the secret word, right? Because it's the ith index, the ith whatever letter from secret word, and then you're adding another splice. We can see what we're doing there. We're going to move to the presentation for a minute. So the for loop is going to run have as many iterations as there are letters in the secret word. For otter, there are 5 letters, so it's going to have 5 iterations, and I'm going to show you guys the 5 iterations step by step. For the first iteration, our index is 0. Our I is 0. I'm not going to be referring to our index. And so we know that we have this variable, and stored inside are 5 underscores, and that we're calling it blanks. So we're going to take a look at that, and we're looking at the 0th underscore right now. And we're considering, are we going to switch this underscore to a letter, or are we going to leave it an underscore? We're also considering the 0th letter of the secret word, because we have to think, have we guessed O yet? And that's how we determine whether or not this underscore changes. So blanks right now is just the 5 underscores. We're just starting. Our index is 0. And let's consider that the user has been playing and has already guessed T and R. And those are both in the word. So these are stored in our list of already guessed correct answers. So the first thing that this for loop asks is secret word 0 in TR? Secret word 0 is O, and that is not in TR. So we just move to the next iteration, and blanks stays the same. So now our index is 1. Blanks is still 5 underscores, and we're looking at the letter T and this underscore here. What letters have we already guessed? T and R. So is secret word 1 in TR? Yes, it is. T, secret word 1 is T, and that is in TR. So we are going to go into the splice line. The splice line is just going to be saying this blanks with this plus secret word 1. It's not going to have this equal. I'm just trying to show you guys what this equals so that it's a little bit easier to see. So the splice line is going to read blanks from the beginning up until 1 plus secret word 1 plus blanks 2 onward. Right? It's not going to have these equal signs. I'm just showing you what those things do equal. So this blanks up until 1 is saying consider, we're going to splice blanks, which right now is 5 underscores, and only include everything up until the 1 blank that we're considering. And we're going to keep those the same. So we're taking everything before it and adding it to what is going to be secret word 1, which is T. And then we're adding all of the blanks from 2 onwards. So basically what we're doing is we're cutting blanks, right before and after the underscore that we're replacing, and we're replacing it with the secret word, the letter from the secret word. So what is blanks now? Blanks is now underscore plus T plus 3 underscores. So it's just this string. Let's move to the next step. So now blanks looks like this with this T here. And we're considering the second index, which also has a T. So is secret word 2 in TR? Yes, it is. T is in TR. So the computer doesn't automatically go and fill in everywhere that that it knows a T is. We're going step by step, position by position, index by index. So yes, so T is in TR. So we're going to have the splice line. Everything up until 2, we're just going to use the blanks that we already have, the information that we already have from blanks. And everything from 3 onward, we're just going to use this information up here. But you'll notice that this is up to, but not including 2. And from here, it's 3 onwards. So what happens is blanks 2 gets replaced by secret word 2, this T. So what is blanks now? It is the underscore, 2 T's, and then 2 blanks. All right, now we're on the 3rd index. Blanks is this, and is secret word 3 in TR? No, it is not. E is not in TR, so we move to the next iteration, and blanks has not changed. And for the 4th, secret word 4, R, is in TR, and so we splice. And remember, when we're splicing, we're saving all of this, what has changed, to blanks. So we're saying everything up until 4, so these, all the way up until 4, keep the same from up here. Keep what they previously were as blanks. And then secret word 4, we're going to add secret word 4, so blanks 4 becomes secret word 4. The 4th index of blanks takes on the value of the 4th index of secret word. And everything after, which doesn't exist, is just going to be the same, so that's fine. And now we are left with the O and the E missing because the user has not guessed those yet, and every letter that the user has guessed has been filled in. And so here we use this information to show the user, all right, well here's where you are, and we present it to them before they guess again. This is one of the trickiest and things to understand. And we can see here, for example, what it actually looks like. Correct letters being T and R in this case. If secret word 0 is incorrect letters, then we change blanks to B. Blanks all the way up until 0, plus secret word at 0, plus blanks 1 onward. But since secret word 0, which is O, is not incorrect letters, which is RT, this line doesn't happen. It just skips to this one. And this is the for loop just written out. Secret word 1, T, is incorrect letters, right? And so blanks becomes, so this blanks, we're going to change it to everything up until 1 staying the same, everything from 2 onward staying the same, but we're going to add where the 1 would be a T. This is one of the trickiest topics, and so that's why I'm spending so much time on it. And I want you guys to raise your hands if you think you would like me to go over it one more time. And do not raise your hands if you think you're okay and you want to keep going. All right. So I am going to just explain it, run through it one more time. All right. What we are going to do is let's consider, oh man, thought that was my Python shell. All right, so let's say our random word is otter, and our are the other things? Our secret word, or our secret word is otter. And our correct letters are, this time we're going to use E and R, or T and E. So they get saved in a string like that, and we'll see later on how that happens. And we are going to see, what else do I need here? Oh, blanks is going to be length of secret, or random, no, it is secret word times those underscores. All right. So instead of going through it with the for loop, let's look at it, just this if statement, and we can fill it in. So we have this if secret word I in correct letters. Well, let's take a look at if secret word 0 in correct letters. Then it goes up until 0, secret word 0, 0 plus 1. All right, and let's take a look at blanks. Blanks has not changed, right? We set blanks to equal this originally. And the reason blanks has not changed is because secret word 0 is referring to that O, and it is not in correct letters, the correct letters being TE. So this line of code does not run. Now let's consider if secret word 1, incorrect letters, blanks equals blanks to 1 plus secret word 1 plus blanks 2 onwards. And now if we look at blanks, we see the T there. And so what happened was secret word 1, which is T, is in correct letters, TE. And so it took what was saved as blanks, which we could see here, up until 1, and it added to it secret word 1, which would be that T, and then it added to both of those, so that would have been an underscore and then T, and then it added to both of those blanks 2 onwards, which would have been these. So it was just the same thing as saying blanks equals, okay, what's blanks, up until 1, and that's an underscore. What's the secret word 1? Well, that's T. And what's blanks 2 onwards? Well, that's just underscores. And that's just, it's saying the same thing. All right, and we can keep going through, and you'll just see that slowly blanks changes every iteration, well, unless if the letter is in correct letters, then it changes blanks and it fills in that letter. So for 2, up until 2, 2, 3. And now if we look at blanks, we have the 2 2's. All right, and so for this one, we have blanks up into, or we have secret word 3. 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3. And so there's that E. And is E incorrect letters? Well, E is incorrect letters this time. And so this code will also operate. And so what's going to happen, it's going to take blanks, this value here, up until 3, 0, 1, 2, so everything up until but not including 3. So it's going to be an underscore and then 2 T's. And it takes that and adds it to secret word 3, which is the E. And then it adds on everything after 3, 4 and onwards, which is just an underscore. So let's see if that worked. It did. We have our underscore and our 2 T's, our E from secret word 3, and then that underscore from up here. All right, so, oh, hold on. So do we have any questions? Is that making more sense the more we go through it? We're going to have to keep going just so that we don't get too behind, but I'm hoping that made sense. April, I'm glad you're here. Don't worry about this is being recorded now, so you can catch the beginning of the lesson later. So don't worry about it. But we do have our hangman code up. All right. We are going to move on, but hopefully that's making sense. It's just going through each blank or each representation of a letter at a time and checking, is this letter in the list of, or in the string of letters that have already been guessed? If so, I'm going to replace it. If not, I'm going to leave it an underscore. All right. So let's take a look at what this for loop does. This one is going to put a space in between each of either the letters or the underscores. And to do that, it goes for letter in blanks. So by the time we finish with this for loop we just looked at, we're left with both underscores we're left with the secret word, but with underscores for the letters that haven't been guessed yet, just like you would expect in Hangman. And so here we're going through that, whatever we're left with, and we're adding a space in between by printing each letter in blanks and having this space added. And if we remember, what this does is it tells the print function to not jump down a line, but instead add a space or add whatever you put into the string. So let's look at that. For letter in blanks, print letter and have that space there. All right, and so all it did is it spaced out our blanks and our letters, so they're not so cramped. All right, and then that's the end of the display board function. So let's take a look at this next function. This is the getGuess function. It has one parameter, and it returns the letter that the player entered. This function ensures the player has entered a single letter and not something else. So you call it whenever we want to let the player type in a letter to guess. The parameter that we give it, this already guessed, is a string that contains all the letters the player has guessed, including the correct and the incorrect ones. So it's going to be both missed letters and correct letters are going to be put into this function. And then we have this while loop, and it starts with this Boolean value, true. So that means the while loop is going to keep going until it hits this return. and the return statement breaks the while loop, and we are actually done with the function. So one and only one of the if, else statement blocks will execute from these. So what happens is when this is called, this while loop starts, and guess the letter is printed, and the user is given the opportunity to type something in. And here, this line just takes whatever they type in and lowercases it, so that you don't get a mix of capitalized and lowercase letters. And then it checks. First, it checks if the length of the guess is not equal to 1. And so if the player has typed in too many characters, if it's typed in more than one character, this will be printed. Please enter a single letter, and the while loop will start over. If the user, their guess is only one character, then it jumps down to this else if statement, because this is false. It jumps to this else if statement. If the guess is already guessed, so if the player has already guessed that letter, this gets printed. You have already guessed that letter. Choose again. And the while loop starts over. If both of these are false, so they've entered one number or letter that they have not already guessed, but it is not a letter, it's a symbol or a number, then please enter a letter is printed, and the while loop starts over. So the only way that the guess gets saved and returned out of the function is if it is a single letter that they have not already guessed. All right. And this last function is the play again function. And it determines if a player wants to play again. And it's just a print function call and a return statement. There's no parameters, but it does return. So first it prints, do you want to play again? Yes or no. And what it returns is whatever the user types in. So whatever string the user types in, it gets lowercased. And then we attach to it this string method that says starts with. If whatever the person types in starts with a Y, then the return value is going to be true. So let's take a look at what I mean there. We can take any string, such as Dalmatians, and attach with a period. We can attach it to the method starts with. And then inside the parentheses, we can ask what it starts with. So we know that Dalmatian starts with D, so we can type that in, and the return value will be true. If I had typed anything but D, I would have gotten false. And we can see that when we use Dalmatians with ends with. It works very similarly to starts with. But I can type in, so this would return a value true if you type in the string S. But if I type in the string Y, which is not how Dalmatians ends, I get the value false. So what this is testing is it's saying if the user types in yes, or they just type in Y, or they type in yeah, then it will return true. If they type anything else, it will return false. So they could type yellow, they could type yam, they could type yak. It doesn't matter. As long as it starts with a Y, the game will start back. Or this will return as true, which is a signal to the program to start the game again. And we'll see that in a little bit. Okay. Any questions on that? No? All right. You guys are on top of it today. We are actually ending. We're not ending right now, so do not quit just yet. But we have actually gone through a lot of this material faster than the earlier classes. So I'm going to go ahead and take a poll and see if this is the right pace. I understand that this for loop is really tricky, but don't worry if you're not getting it quite yet. It is, where is it here? This for loop, it's only 3 lines, but it's some of the trickiest code in this program, especially this splicing part. It's just tricky to get to understand what's exactly happening here. I don't think it helps that, we're using these underscores that are all bunched together. It's called blanks. It can get kind of tricky. So I'm going to launch the poll, but what did you think about today's class? All right, so I think most of the people have voted, and I've gotten overall that this was a good pace, so I'm going to continue at this pace. I think I had one a little too fast and one say too slow, but I think it's going to be a good pace for now. If you do feel like it's going too fast and you are having trouble keeping up on a specific topic, you can let me know, shoot me an email, and I'm going to bring that page up in a little bit. And you can also go to our Wednesday night this week. Luke. Hey, Luke, do you have a question?
No, I was just saying that my computer just randomly shut off, but I got it up now, so
Good, okay.
I might have just missed the last few things you said.
Oh, sorry about that, but this is recorded, so you can catch that later. Sorry, Luke.
Okay.
All right. Well, I am glad for that input, and I'm glad that you guys, I think, got a handle on the for loop, maybe. And let's take a look. Before we go today, we're just going to review what the functions do. The functions, so if you look at the code, we have all of these function definitions, and then finally we're at the part where the code actually starts. And so these won't be used until they're called, but to make sure we know when to call them, I created a little review of what they all do. We learned about some of them last week. Oops. All right, so we have getRandomWord, which takes in a list of strings and returns one string from it that was chosen randomly by creating a random integer from 0 to however many items are in the list minus 1, because if you have a list of 10 items, the highest index is going to be 9, right? 10 minus 1. So it creates a random integer, and then that random integer is used as the index from the word list that it was passed, and so you get a random word. So if you have a list and the first string is cat, or the 0th string is cat, and the random integer gets returned as 0, then word list 0 will be the same as the string cat. And this is how we choose a word for the user to guess. Then we have this display board, and it shows the current state of the board, including the correct letters, the blanks, and the correct letters and the blanks together, right after this for loop, printed there, and the wrong letters the player has guessed, and we looked over that last week, those missed letters. It also shows the gallows, which is up here. You pass into it 4 parameters, but there is no return value. You're not really getting information during this. You're displaying the information you know. But you give it information. You give 4 pieces of information, this constant variable with all of the art strings. You also give it the correct letters and the missed letters. And these are strings made up of the letters that the player has guessed that are in and are not in the secret word. And you also give it that secret word. No return value. Get guess, we just looked at this, but this takes a string of letters that the user has already guessed, and will keep asking the user for a letter not in that string for a single letter. This function returns the string of the acceptable letter the player has guessed. Turn guess. And then play again. And this function asks if the user wants to play another round of Hangman. This function returns true if the player does and false if the player doesn't. Alright guys, so the last thing I'm going to leave you with is this week again our open mic will be from 9 to 10 on Wednesday. We are going to try to get it at another time for either next week or the week after. Right now, Mr. D's schedules and I are really full, so Wednesdays from 9 to 10, that's when we can work it out. I apologize if you tried to go right at the beginning, right at 9:05 last week, or 9. Something wasn't working quite right. We didn't get it up and running till 9:10 or 9:15, but we tried to send out an email letting everyone know it was running at that point. Please send any emails, any questions that you have to youngengineersoftoday@gmail.com. If your code is not working, it's really helpful for me if you include the .py file, the whole file, so I can take a look at it and see what is not working. All right. Any questions before I let you all go? Quick poll. Raise your hand if you would be interested in using Minecraft in class. Great, great. That's almost unanimous. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put your hands down. That's all for today, guys. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. If you want me to go over something, you can send me a question. Oh, someone says I don't have Minecraft. That's okay. You don't need to have Minecraft right now. We talked about this at the beginning. I just made an announcement that it came out for the Pi today. It's free. If you do have connection to the internet and you ask your parents, you can put it on your Pi. It's really cool. You get to create these environments. You don't need to have Minecraft. We will be talking, I have another question here, we will be talking about how to get Minecraft either Wednesday or Monday. And we're going to be talking about how to get wireless internet and then also how to get Minecraft from your Pi. There is a link right now on Edmodo on how to get it if you have internet, and also a tutorial. So hopefully that answered some questions. But you don't have to worry about getting this right now. This was just more of a fun little announcement. People have been waiting a long time for Minecraft, and it gets pretty addicting. Alright, and alright guys, I'll see you on Wednesday. You can go ahead and log off if you want, and we just have a couple minutes left, but I'm going to stay on the line in case anyone has a question. Bye, Luke. Hey, Mr. D. We are ending class, actually.
I understand. I just caught you in and the computer wouldn't agree with me tonight for whatever reason.
Oh, well, this class really got a hold of that for loop, so I was impressed.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Are they excited about Minecraft?
I think so. We had some questions on how to get it from the computer, and I asked if they'd be interested in using it, and almost everyone raised their hands. We just had, I think, one person hold up, and I think they were worried that they didn't have Minecraft. But
all right.
I haven't introduced too much about what you do in Minecraft. I haven't actually used it that much, but.
Well, I will show them how. I'll put a message out. Maybe we'll walk everybody through. I'll make a little webinar on exactly how to do that. We'll have it for them. Okay. They're going to need to be online or get it to a file and copy it over off an SD card or whatever they need to do.
Yeah, we can walk through that. All right, well,
Absolutely.
it's 7:30 now, guys, so I'm gonna jump off, but I'll see you guys Wednesday. And Mr. D, I'll talk to you soon.